President Obama is now the first president to vote early, which has inspired me to be the first cable news anchor to vote early right here on this show tomorrow night, which means I only have 24 more hours of being undecided.
The Romney campaign is pushing the theory that they're in the lead down the stretch.
Our campaign is gaining.
If I'm elected, when I'm elected,
We are going to win, by the way.
Romney knows the electorate
Our campaign is gaining.
and is not telling the truth about the electorate.
Here's the thing, trust matters.
Our campaign is gaining.
When I'm elected,
We are going to win, by the way.
we're going to win on November 6th.
Who has the momentum right now?
Our campaign is gaining.
Time magazine has the president up by 5 points in the Buckeye State.
They love flicking away these polls.
We are going to win, by the way.
And the president's approval rating is back up to 53%.
Our campaign is gaining.
Obama has an advantage electorally.
A very, very heavy lift for Mitt Romney.
Romney would rather be Obama than Romney.
We're going to win on November 6th.
Here's the thing, trust matters.
Another political firestorm is growing.
Richard Murdoch's comments about rape.
What he said was kind of crazy.
Life is that gift from God.
He wants no abortions, no exceptions.
Even when life begins in that horrible situation of rape.
No abortions, no exceptions.
And it is something that God intended to happen.
Yes, we're back in the clown car with lots more guys wearing the crazy hats.
You have Aiken and you have Murdoch.
If it's a legitimate rape, the female body has ways to try to shut that whole thing down.
Rape is rape. It is a crime.
If I have to listen to one more gray-faced man with a $2 haircut explain to me what rape is, I'm going to lose my mind.
With just 12 days until the election tonight, Team Romney is saying that they have the momentum, but some people on Fox News tonight are saying no, he doesn't.
I think it is extremely close, and I might even say that if the election were held today, the president might have a slight edge, and others are saying something different. I don't think conservatives out there should get some big head of steam thinking Romney, all he has to do is play it safe and he's going to win. I think
But
Romney,
that's what Romney thinks.
Well, I think that's a risky
That's what
bet.
the governor thinks. I mean, he's playing it awful safe. Believe me, we've been trying to get an interview with him for weeks.
President Obama made history today when he became the first president to cast an early ballot for president of the United States.
For all of you who have not yet early voted, I just want everybody to see what an incredibly efficient process this was.
The president voted in Chicago, a solid blue state, solid blue city and solid blue state of Illinois, whose 20 electoral college votes he will surely win, which is why he spent the rest of today campaigning in the toss-up states of Florida, Virginia, and Ohio, where tonight he said this.
I don't know how a guy sits on a stage talking to tens of millions of fellow Americans, and you are saying somehow that you were all for the auto industry when everybody remembers you weren't. The people of Detroit remember. The people of Ohio remember. I bet on American workers. I bet on American manufacturing. And I do it again because that bet always pays off.
Mitt Romney also campaigned in Ohio tonight, where he continued to pretend that all the polls are breaking his way.
This campaign is growing. The momentum is building. We're taking back America, and it's coming soon.
But he's not taking back Nevada. Just released NBC News polling shows that in Nevada, President Obama leads Mitt Romney by 3 points, 50-47, and Mitt Romney's not taking back Colorado. President Obama and Mitt Romney there are tied at 48%. New PPP robo-polling show, try to say that at home. PPP robo-polling shows that in Wisconsin, President Obama leads Mitt Romney by 6 points, 51-45. In Virginia, President Obama leads Mitt Romney by 5 points, 51-46. In Iowa, President Obama leads Mitt Romney by 2 points, 49-47. In North Carolina, President Obama and Mitt Romney are tied at 48%. Tonight, Nate Silver of the New York Times 538 blog forecasts that on November 6th, President Obama has now a 72% chance of winning re-election, and President Obama will win 293 electoral college votes, and Mitt Romney will win 245. So, Crystal Ball, the Romney momentum thing simply doesn't apply to the swing states where he needs it to apply in order to actually win the presidency.
Right. Well, it didn't apply to the swing states, and now it just doesn't apply at all. It doesn't apply in the national polls either. If anything, the president is now the one with the momentum. And I think out of those polls, the one that has to be the most disturbing for the Romney campaign, actually the two, are the ones in Wisconsin and Ohio. Romney essentially has to win one of those states to really have a credible path to 270. And I just don't see in the next 2 weeks how that's going to happen. There's really no big events planned. The debates are all done. They don't seem to have anything in the bag in terms of tricks they're going to pull up to shake things up. And I don't know if they actually believe their own bluster.
Well, let's take a look at the new Obama ad that is going to try to stop any Romney momentum.
It's said that character is what we do when we think no one is looking. Mitt Romney thought no one was looking when he attacked 47% of Americans. His companies ship jobs overseas. His plan cuts millionaires' taxes, but raises yours. He'll voucherize Medicare and make catastrophic cuts to education. So remember what Romney said and what his plan would do.
Ari, it's a pretty good summary.
It's a strong ad, and it basically makes the point that we, the voters, have to keep track of what Romney says, because he won't, because he's always changing his position. You know, you had Laura Ingraham up there talking about if the election were held today. I mean, she's so yesterday, and Bill O'Reilly so yesterday. I don't think they even realize that the entire voting structure has changed in this country. That last cycle, 31% of people voted before Election Day. This cycle, it's going to be close to 40% because of Obama's turnout machine. The election is being held today. Somebody call Laura Ingraham, revoke her pundit credentials for a week. And that goes to the question you posed, Lawrence, which is the heart of this. Is there momentum? Well, in Ohio, Obama has a 30-point lead among early voters. In Iowa, a 25-point lead among early voters. That's real. That's not a poll, okay? That is the lead of the ballots from these Democratic-leaning districts. Republicans do get higher turnout on Election Day historically, so they may be able to make up some of that. But are they going to make up 25 points in Iowa? I mean, call Laura Ingraham, let her know how elections work, and then we can get her analysis on momentum.
The election will be held here tomorrow. I am going to do my early vote right here at this table, and it's a California ballot, so it is so complex.
Gary Johnson?
I have flown in a former governor of California to help me fill out my ballot.
So you're like any undecided voter.
It's tough. But let's take a look at an endorsement that that President Obama got today. 4 years ago, I predicted he would get this endorsement, the Colin Powell endorsement, because it just started to make a certain sense. And about a week ahead of time, I could see it coming. This time, I think the entire country could see it coming for very good reasons that Colin Powell states. Let's listen to that.
I voted for him in 2008, and I plan to stick with him in 2012, and I'll be voting for he and for Vice President Joe Biden next month. I think generally we've come out of the dive, and we're starting to gain altitude. With respect to Governor Romney, it's essentially let's cut taxes and compensate for that with other things. But that compensation does not cover all of the cuts intended or the new expenses associated with defense.
That is a Republican centrist talking, and I have the sense that he speaks for a lot more people than just himself there.
I think you're exactly right, and depending on how this election goes down, I think we may be hearing more concern from parts of the party that agree with Colin Powell. But, you know, in terms of gettable endorsements, even though it's not the surprise and it's not as big a deal as it was in 2008, I still think the Colin Powell endorsement is very important. When you think about people in America who are broadly trusted, who are broadly respected, seen as truly sort of above the fray and nonpartisan. Colin Powell has to be near the top among them. So when he speaks with authority and when he is willing to delve into the partisan issues and not only support Barack Obama, but explain a critique of Mitt Romney that makes a lot of sense, I think that has merit.
Yeah, and I think, on that, it's worth repeating. What he says is, with respect to Governor Romney, his entire plan is let's cut taxes and compensate for that with other things. But that compensation doesn't cover the cuts or the new expenses associated with defense.
Arithmetic.
The arithmetic.
Right.
Now, that's a soldier talking. That is a man who cares deeply about our men and women in uniform, as does the president. But it's a soldier who also cares about being straight with the American people. So there's no one really better than former Secretary of State Powell, former General Powell, to get up there and say, Mitt Romney is not being truthful with you about the numbers, and he can't be trusted to fund the Pentagon if he won't tell you the truth about his plans.
The president picked up an endorsement from the Washington Post today. I'm not sure how much newspaper endorsements mean. I want to talk about Nate Silver's analysis of this momentum issue. He said Mr. Romney clearly gained ground in the polls in the week or two after the Denver debate. However, it seems that he is no longer doing so. That's pretty much the story.
And I think that's right. That's just Nate Silver looking at the polls and telling it as it is, and I totally agree with that. I would say that Romney peaked a bit too early, and it wasn't enough of a peak. Even at his height, before the momentum slowed down and started to come back together, he still wasn't winning in battleground states that he would need to win to get to 270.
There's a Rolling Stone interview that was released today. President Obama says this about Bill Clinton in that interview. Because of the actions we took, we averted a Great Depression, but in the process we also muddied up the political narrative because it allowed somebody like Romney to somehow blame my policies for the mess that the previous administration created. Bill Clinton can point that out in ways that are really helpful and really powerful. Let's look at how Bill Clinton did that at the Democratic Convention.
No president, not me, not any of my predecessors, no one could have fully repaired all the damage that he found in just 4 years.
He's the only person out there in either party, Ari, who can make a statement like that from presidential experience.
Yeah, it's credible, and you were on the floor there, and so was I. I was standing next to Harold Ickes, President Clinton's former deputy chief of staff. And one of the things he said after the speech, he loved the speech, no surprise, but he said, President Obama can't say it.
Exactly.
It's true.
Exactly.
But when President Obama says it, it sounds too self-serving, even for this crowd, which is a crowd full of excited Democrats and a lot of people watching at home. And that's what President Clinton does. He does it so well. We've talked about this before on your show, Lawrence. Paul Ryan, just on the debt, Paul Ryan voted 91% of the time to hike the debt when he was in office. Mitt Romney's a 1%er from way back who doesn't have a growth plan, right? And then you compare it to President Obama with these consecutive job growth numbers and the lowest unemployment since he took office, and President Clinton, who's the master of cutting deficits. There's a reason why people trust Democrats more on these issues.
Ari Melbourne, Crystal Ball, thank you both for joining me.
Thanks.
Coming up, Mitt Romney's idea of leadership is running away from reporters who ask about his support for the Republican Senate candidate who thinks rape pregnancies are something that God intended to happen. And in the spotlight tonight, President Obama tells the honest truth about Mitt Romney's lies, and he used a word that I can't use unless I'm quoting the president. We're actually trying to get a ruling right now from the MSNBC judges as to whether I can use this word that the president used. We're not exactly sure where the profanity line is in the rule book on this one. It's a presidential quote. I'm going to try to use it when the time comes. I'm kind of eager to. And in the rewrite, the most powerful CEOs of the biggest companies in America have a message for Mitt Romney and congressional Republicans, and that message is raise our taxes. That's coming up.